Right, thank you. So, firstly, a very good evening to all of you, and I welcome you all to the introductory session of our Ethics Problem Solver course. And before starting with the session, just a brief introduction from my side. My name is Siddhak Singh, and I am from Punjab. With regard to my UPSC experience or my UPSC journey, I have appeared twice for the civil services interview, and I have appeared for this year's mains as well, whose result is awaited. So this was a brief from my side. Now, moving forward to the agenda for today's session, I've divided the session into four parts. Firstly, we will talk about what the aim and the features of the course are. Once we are done with that, I'll throw some light on what the approach is going to be in the subsequent classes. Post that, we will discuss a few topics, primarily from the topic number one of our syllabus, ethics and human interface. We will start from the basics. What are values? What is morality? What is ethics? How is morality different from ethics? And post that, we'll do the determinants of ethics and a few other topics if the time permits. And once we are done with the first three parts, I'll throw the floor of the house open for any queries. I'll be more than happy to address any query that you people have once we are done with the main agenda. So, moving forward, to what the aim and the features of this course are. Before going to that, there is one thing which I like to highlight and emphasize upon, and that is the importance of ethics paper. I presume that most of you understand the importance of GS4 or ethics paper, but since this is important, I will like to reiterate. Now, ethics paper is the most important paper among your 4 GS paper. The reason for this is twofold. First is effort, and second is reward. What do I mean from this? From effort, I mean that the amount of time and energy that you need to invest in the ethics paper so as to get a good score is the least among your 4 GS papers. If you compare ethics paper to say GS1 paper, you have to do three subjects: history, society, geography. And these subjects are further divided into different themes. Say history is divided into ancient history, medieval, modern, world history, and post independence. And once you do all these things, at the end of the day, what is its weightage? 50 to 60 marks. Similarly, for geography, you have to cover a very large portion, which will eventually pay you somewhere, or whose weightage eventually is 100 to 120 marks. Similarly, for GS3, you have to do a lot of things: economy, agriculture, science and tech, environment, disaster management, and internal security. But in case of ethics, what you have to do is 7 topics plus case studies. This is your syllabus, which is given by UPSC. 7 topics plus the case studies portion. So the effort that this paper requires is relatively lesser. That's the point that I want to make. The second thing is reward. This is the table that I've put here, which gives the comparative analysis of the maximum marks in the 4 GS paper in the last 2 years. The common thing in both these columns is that ethics has been the highest scorer in both the years. So, in case of ethics, I think it is very safe to say that the reward to effort ratio is maximum. Effort required is less, and the reward is high. So getting a good score here is important. And all of you must understand one thing, that this is a competitive exam and our main aim is to maximize our mains score, our mains aggregate score. And if we miss out on the most scoring papers like ethics, essay, optional, we fall behind the curve if we miss out on these scoring papers. So scoring here becomes important. Now, the important or the other question which could arise to your mind is that I've used a term here, good score in ethics. What that good score is, or how we can quantify a good score in ethics. So based on the analysis of the marks of the rank holders, ranks from rank 1 to 100, if we analyze the marks of these rankers, the average marks in GS4 has been 123. So it is safe to say that a good score in ethics is either equal to or more than 123 marks. And this is our main aim, to score a good score here, that is 125 plus. So this is the aim of the program. Now moving forward, I guess there could be another question that if this paper requires less effort and the award here is high, why do not a lot of people score more than 125? Now, the answer to this is that there are basically three problems that students face when it comes to the ethics preparation. And those three problems are the main reasons which hinder you to score or get past 125. So, what are those three problems? First one is the issue with regard to approach. There are certain lacunae in our approach. There is something which I'll discuss in just a few moments. The second issue is lack of answer writing, and the third one is time management. Now, precisely these are the three problems that this course will try to address, or we will try to work upon. This is the reason we call this program as the problem solver course. Now let's look into it, that what are the issues when it comes to the approach. Now, the approach of majority of the candidates who are preparing for ethics is that the candidates will go through the ethics syllabus. They will look for the keywords. Say there is a topic in your ethics syllabus, aptitude and foundational values. So the candidates will look into the subtopics given underneath it, like integrity, dedication, empathy, compassion, tolerance, integrity, impartiality, non-partisanship, objectivity, dedication, tolerance, empathy, and compassion. So they will look for these keywords and they will prepare their definitions plus a few examples plus some general points. Right, this is the approach that majority of the students follow. And in fact, this approach was fruitful till 2021, 2021 mains. But after 2021 mains, the questions that were asked in the paper, they became much more analytical and which required interlinkage of different concepts. Addressing these things using this approach has become difficult, and this is the reason why some people are not able to score good now. And moving to the second point, lack of answer writing, there is one thing which you people need to understand, and it's rather relatively more important to understand, that when it comes to ethics, understanding ethics and writing the answers of ethics are two different things. So you might be having good understanding of the ethics, but you might be simultaneously facing the problem of writing good answers of ethics. So what is required is answer writing practice. And as a result, in this program, in every class, you will be writing two answers per session, and mostly they will be from the PYQs. We will be starting our class session with the answer writing, and once you write the answers, we will discuss those answers. This would be the practice, which this would be the rather a norm which would be followed in every class. Now the third issue here is that of time management. Now there is one thing which is important to mention here, that you would be getting 13 questions of theory and 6 questions of case studies. And or each of these questions, you will be given 7 minutes, or I'm telling you how you're going to manage your time. 7 minutes for 10 markers. These are 10 markers and these are 20 markers. And here you will be allocating 14 minutes. 13 into 7 makes 91, and 20 into 14, sorry, 20 into 6 into 14, that makes 84 minutes. So this makes a total of 175 minutes. You will be getting 180 minutes in the exam. Now, where does these 7 minutes actually go? The first thing is into reading the question. And while you are reading the question, you are not just reading what is written in the paper, at the same time, you are also deconstructing the demand of the question. कि क्वेश्चन में एग्जैक्टली कितने पार्ट्स हैं, एक पार्ट है, दो पार्ट है, या इन टोटल 3 पार्ट्स हैं. That is what I mean with deconstructing. And once you have read the question and you have deconstructed it, the next thing that you would do is you will be preparing a framework within your mind. What do I mean by this? Once we have read the question and deconstructed कि question की demand क्या है, within our minds we prepare a framework कि अच्छा अगर 3 demands है question की, these are the 3 headings which I'll be giving to address the demand of the question, and this is how I will be allocating the space. Now say if there are 3 demands of the question, of a single question, you might feel that the first and the second demand is relatively less important as compared to the third demand, and you will say, okay, I'll write one heading, I will give 2 points under this, and under the second heading I will again give 2 points, and under the third heading I'll be giving, say, 5 points. So this is something which I mean by space allocation. And these are the things which you will be actually doing before writing the answer. So this is the drill that you will be doing in every question before writing the answer. Now, what has happened after 2021 is that the questions have become, number one, more lengthy. Number two, the questions have become more complex. And number three, the questions have become much more analytical. Now, since the questions have become lengthy, the time to read the questions has increased. Since the questions have become complex, deconstructing the questions has become a challenge, and deciding the framework within your minds has also become a challenge. Since the questions have become analytical, writing them has become a bit difficult. So the challenge now is to complete the 10 markers within 7 minutes. And how we are going to address this is, firstly, by in-class practice of 2 questions every day. Secondly, we will be doing brainstorming plus ethical stimulation in every class. And thirdly, I'll be giving you templates. 7 templates would be given to you. These would be actually thinking cues and would help you to think from various dimensions, thus enabling your answer to look multidimensional. These are the things that we will be doing to address the constraint of time. Now, there is something which I've spoken, I guess, a couple of times, that the pattern got changed after 2021. So let's look into it, that how the pattern got changed in 2021. So for that, we will be firstly looking into a few questions from mains 2021 and mains 2020, so that you understand what was the type of the questions that was getting asked till 2021, and then we will see the questions of 2022 and the last mains. This is 21, right? So this is the question paper of 2021. Let's see the first question. Identify 5 ethical traits on which one can plot the performance of a civil servant. Justify their inclusion in the matrix. So there are 2 parts in this question. The first one is asking you to identify five ethical traits, number one. And second, you have to justify their inclusion in the matrix. Basically, it is asking about the importance of these five values. Now, is this a difficult question? If you have gone through ethics, I guess once or twice, you would be in a comfortable position to address this question because this is directly from your syllabus. Five ethical values and their importance, right? So you can write integrity, you can write impartiality and non-partisanship, objectivity, dedication, and empathy, compassion. Five values and their importance. And the question is done. So no problem with regard to thinking that what should be the framework, or not much time is getting lost in deconstructing the question. Let's see another question. So the second question is, identify 10 essential values that are needed to be an effective public servant. Describe the ways and means to prevent non-ethical behavior in the public servant. Again, a very easy question. In the first question, they had asked you about five ethical traits. Now they're asking about 10 ethical values. This is demand one. The second is ways and means. किसके लिए? To prevent non-ethical behavior. Again, directly from your syllabus. Here you have the ethical values, but in this case, we have 10 ethical values. So we can use the five again, these values. Six could be tolerance. Then you can talk about other values like perseverance, fortitude, things like this, emotional intelligence. So you will write first 10 values and then ways and means to prevent non-ethical conduct. This is the place from where you will be writing the points. To prevent non-ethical conduct, we need to make stringent laws, rules, and regulations, plus their proper implementation and better training of the conscience. So these are the basic points from which you will be writing the answer. Once we start our course, I'll be talking about these aspects in some detail. But the very idea why I'm showing you this is to highlight that the questions were very simple till 2021. And if you will go through this question paper, we have paucity of time here. 9 out of 13 questions were direct from your syllabus. There were 4 questions which required some level of analysis. Now let's see the question paper of 2020. Now these initial two questions, these were good questions which required some amount of analysis. But other than these questions, again, it is a coincidence that in this paper as well, 9 out of 13 questions were direct. If you see other questions, hatred is destructive of a person's wisdom and conscience that can poison a nation's spirit. Now, this question is from emotional intelligence, that if you are unable to manage your emotions and you show hatred, it will destroy your wisdom and conscience, and that will have negative implications on a nation's spirit. The only thing that you had to do here was to interlink emotional intelligence with a nation's spirit. In case of India, you will connect this to say Vasudev Kutumbakam, unity in diversity, brotherhood. You can give reference of Sufi and Bhakti movement here. This is the only thing that needed to be done in this answer. The next question, main components of emotional intelligence, can they be learned? Again, a simple question. Teachings of Buddha, how are they most relevant today? Why? Now, this was a question from ethics in international relations. Again, I guess it is directly mentioned. Yes, it is in the syllabus, ethical issues in international relations and funding. Distinguish between laws and rules, again directly from the syllabus, role of ethics in formulating them. So things were relatively easy till 2021, but let's see how things changed from 2022. Right, this is 2022's question paper. Let's see the first question. Wisdom lies in knowing what to reckon with and what to overlook. An officer being engrossed with the periphery, ignoring the core issues before him, is not rare in bureaucracy. Do you agree that such preoccupation of an administrator leads to perversity of justice, to the cause of effective service delivery, and good governance. So can you see that the number of variables or the number of important phrases and keywords has increased? Number one, the question has become analytical, the question has become lengthy, and the question has become complex. And it is a bit difficult now to link this question to a certain topic of the syllabus, because this question is involving interlinkage between different concepts here. Peripheral issues, number one. Core issues, how it is leading to traversity of justice with regard to effective service delivery and good governance. So if you haven't done the thorough understanding of the concepts, and while reading the concepts, if you haven't done the interlinkage, it is very difficult to write answer to such questions. Similarly, come to question number two. Apart from intellectual competency and moral qualities, empathy and compassion are some of the other vital attributes that facilitate the civil servant to be more competent in tackling the crucial issues or taking critical decisions. Crucial issues, taking critical decisions. Explain with suitable illustrations. Again, not a direct question. Basically, here what it is talking about, intellectual competency is aptitude, moral qualities is attitude. Now, these two things have to be interlinked with empathy and compassion in the situations which are crucial and which require critical decisions. Again, the number of variables has increased, making it a bit difficult to write the answer. Going to the last means. Yeah, this is 2024. See the first question. The application of artificial intelligence as a dependable source of input for administrative rational decision making is a debatable issue. Critically examine the statement from the ethical point of view. Again, you cannot attribute this to a topic in your syllabus. Again, some challenge here. Second question, ethics encompasses several key dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organizations towards the morally responsible behavior. Explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human actions and how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in professional context. Now, the dimensions of ethics is a topic which is mentioned in your syllabus, but this question is asking not just about it, but it is asking you to interlink these dimensions with ethical decision making in professional context. This again requires some amount of analysis. Now, let me show you what our approach will be in answering these questions. Let's take the first question.
It's fair.
Right. So now, in this question, like I told you earlier, that the question talked about peripheral issues, core issues, traversity of justice in relation to effective service delivery and good governance. Now, the approach while writing these answers, just a second, right. The approach while attempting such answers is, firstly, you decide the framework in which you want to write the answer. Now, the first thing that you need to do here is to write a good introduction. The introduction in this case could be any data, any quote, or a very general definition of what right responsibility is. I shared a sample document of the quotes in the morning, and there was one quote in the bureaucracy part which said, with great power comes great responsibility. And this was said by Voltaire. So you can start your answer with this introduction, and then you can go on to write that since the bureaucrats carry a great responsibility, so it becomes their duty to indulge in the core issues. So this is how you can start the answer. And then coming to the body part, you can write that, however, bureaucrats today are Here you can draw a flow chart. Now the question says that they are engrossed in the peripheral issues. So you can write here that the bureaucrats are engrossed in the peripheral issue, and at the same time they are ignoring the core issues. So what are the peripheral issues in which the bureaucrats are presently engaging or indulging? One could be that they are prioritizing procedures and compliances. That is, they are more engaged in the formalities part, in ensuring that rules and regulations are met and not engaging themselves with the substantive aspects or the core issues, which we'll discuss shortly. What could be the other peripheral issues? That they are busy in organizing meetings, filing reports, things like this. Meetings, filing reports. Then you can go on to write that they engage themselves in symbolic initiatives. That is, at times they go for certain encroachment drives, anti encroachment drives, or certain inaugurations, or they could be busy in how to integrate technology into administration. Now, these are the peripheral issues in which they are engaging themselves, while at the same time they are ignoring the core issues. What are the core issues? Learning outcomes. In bracket, you can write as a report. What could be the other core issues? Improving ease of doing business. World Bank report. Healthcare. You can cite the recent example of how infants died in Jhansi Hospital. What are the other things? Job creation. But in our nation, what the problem is? Unemployment plus informalization. Other core issues, agri distress. What could be other? You can write grievance redressal. You have poor grievance redressal. Right. So एग्जाम के अंदर इतने पॉइंट्स नहीं लिखने, but I'm just telling you that what the approach should be or what your framework should be while writing the answer. Now, this is just the first part in which you have showed that they are engrossed in the peripheral issues and they're ignoring the core issues. What the main demand of the question is that it is leading to traversity of justice. Traversity of justice in the context of poor service delivery, and the other thing was, I just forgot. I think good governance. Yes, it was good governance. So it is in this context you have to write about traversity of justice. One of the points could be lack of responsiveness. Right. Give certain examples here. For example, there is poor disaster management. You can give the example of the loss of lives of a few students when the basement of ORN got flooded. ORN basement flooding incident, or Uttarakhand floods, whatever you like, or if you have any other better example. Then I talked about integration of technology in administration. You can write about certain PDS issues, that a lady in Jharkhand failed to get her biometric authenticated, and as a result, she died of starvation. So you can write here simply in shortened form, Jharkhand death of a lady, bracket, biometric issue. Third could be inequality. You can give that or you can write that there is an increase in the Gini coefficient. What could be other? Poverty could be another. Give the figures of multidimensional poverty index. Fifth could be lack of people's participation. I guess we wrote here Or you can write about grievance redressal or people's participation, that there is lack of people's participation in initiatives like social audits due to the non-responsive conduct of the government officials. And once we are done with this, in the end, you will give a way forward. What are the things that could now addressing whenever you are writing about any problem, it is mandatory to write a solution, because if you are writing a paper for the civil servant for civil service, it is important that you have a solution oriented mindset. So irrespective of the fact whether the question has asked for a solution or way forward, you have to give it. So the way forward or solution in this case would be recognizing and rewarding the officers who perform well on the civil services day. This could be one point. The second thing could be periodic training, training the officials so that they understand what the core issues are and they engage themselves in it. The third thing that could be done is better accountability mechanism, holding the civil servants accountable if they are focusing more on the peripheral issues while ignoring the core issues. Fourth could be having an outcome oriented approach. And the next could be better leadership, which shows or which gives the right type of guidance to their juniors. So this is how we will frame the entire question. And this is how we will study the topics by interlinking different concepts and trying to view the things from a multidimensional perspective. I hope you had some clarity with regard to how to tackle the questions that are now coming in the paper. So, is there any query of any candidate till now? So I presume कि किसी का कोई doubt नहीं है. ठीक है. So let's move forward now. So having done with this thing, let's see a few topics. आज बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं पढ़ेंगे. मतलब I will not like to overload you on the very first day itself. Basic cursory reading करेंगे कुछ topics की जो basic हैं. And when we read ethics, there is one thing which I like to request कि जब ethics आप लोग पढ़ोगे, don't just try to do rote learning. रट्टा नहीं मारना है. Try to get a feel of these things which we are studying. If you will get the feel of the things, you will, number one, be able to better understand. And secondly, if you have understood the concepts better, definitely you'll be writing better answers and you will be in a better position to interlink different concepts and ideas. So let's start with the first topic. What are values? So values are standards of human behavior that help us evaluate the desirability or non-desirability of actions. फील आई? Probably नहीं आई होगी क्योंकि अभी हमने समझा नहीं. So what are values? Let me explain this thing by giving you an example. Suppose you go to one of your friend's house and there you observe how he or she treats his or her elders, parents or say grandparents. Now suppose that person shows the emotion or values of love and respect towards their elders. Now, the basis on which you will be judging their conduct or their actions would be the value of love and respect. So, what is love and respect here? Love and respect here are the standards based on which you are deciding whether certain actions are desirable or non desirable. Right? So, so values are basically the touchstones. Let us take another example. Suppose you start a business, and to start that business you take a loan of x amount from one of your friends, and once your business starts giving profit, you return that money back. Now the basis on which your conduct would be evaluated, or the standard based on which your conduct will be evaluated here, would be honesty. So the value involved here is honesty. I'm repeating once again, values are the standards based on which the desirability or non-desirability of your actions is decided. Now let's look into certain examples which we can write in the examination from the ancient times or from the time of Ramayana. The example of Shravan, love and respect for parents. Gandhiji, non-violence, as he suspended the non-cooperation movement due to the Chauri Chaura incident. A professional example, Pepsi showed the value of integrity, how there was one occasion when their trade secret got leaked and one of the person was selling their trade secret to Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola instead of buying their trade secret informed sorry Pepsi instead of buying the trade secret of Coca-Cola informed the company that somebody is selling their trade secret. The next example, Manoj Mishra, also known as Yamuna Man. Why? Because of environmental leadership. He was the person who launched Yamuna GA Abhiyan so as to curb pollution in the Yamuna floodplains. So this is a keyword here, environmental stewardship, something which you should remember. The next example from administration, IES Kaustubh Devgaonkar. He showed the value of compassion. How? He sat on the floor to talk to a Divyangjan because the disabled man here was unable to sit on the chair to talk to the DM. So the DM instead sat on the floor to hear the grievance of the Divyangjan. So these are the examples of positive values. But since values are standards, the standards can be both positive and negative. Like I talked about the value of love, this is a positive standard or a positive value. Negative value could be hatred. The question We did a question about hatred, I guess, from 2020, and the negative value in this case would be disrespect, honesty, the negative value dishonesty. So these are a few examples of negative values. Again, an ancient example, Kakai, envy towards Ram, PMC bank scam, Sharda chit fund scam, lack of integrity by the promoters. Third example, Vinod Kambli. Now, there is often a comparison which is made between Vinod Kambli and Sachin Tendulkar. Both of them, this we will study again when we'll study the aptitude topic. Both had great aptitude or skill set when it came to cricket, but it was Sachin who excelled and Kambli was not able to excel. The reason was overindulgence and intemperance. Fourth example from bureaucracy, IS Neera Yadav convicted for corruption. There was some issue with regard to allocation of land, and she was held guilty of corruption, because of which she had to go to jail. Moving forward to the next topic, that is morality. Now, the definition of morality is standards of human behavior. Again, morality is also standard considered right by an individual. Now, this is where the difference comes. Considered right by an individual, जो एक individual को लगता है कि ये सही है. Now, if I take the same example of starting the business by borrowing the money from one of your friends. Now, say I start a business, and to start the business, I had to borrow money from one of my friends, and I eventually return the money back once I started to earn profit. Now, the reason why I gave the money back was not that if I do not return the money, society will judge me poorly on the basis of value of honesty. This was not the reason I returned the money back. I returned the money back because I myself felt internally that this is the right thing to do, that being honest is the right thing to do. So, morality is what a person feels is right, the standard that a person feels is right. So this is how morality and value is different. Let's see the examples. Danveer Karan, an example from the ancient times, showed the value of charity and fidelity. How he showed the value of charity, just for your information, he gave Kavach and Kundal to Lord Krishna. And how he reflected the value of fidelity? By staying loyal towards his friend Duryodhan till the very end. The next example, Mother Teresa showed the value of compassion by opening missionaries of charity. T.N. Session, Chief Election Commissioner of India, reflected the values of integrity and impartiality. Tulsi Gowda is me a long while back, right? So we'll continue from here itself, from the examples that Danveer Karan reflected the values of charity and fidelity. I'll repeat how he reflected the value of charity because he gave Kavach and Kundal to Lord Krishna, and how he reflected the value of fidelity by staying loyal to his friend Duryodhan till the end. The second example is of Mother Teresa. She reflected the value of compassion by starting missionaries of charity for the most downtrodden people of the society. The third example is of T.N. Session, the Chief Election Commissioner of India during the early 1990s, and he reflected the values of integrity and impartiality. The next example is of Tulsi Gowda. She got Padma Shri because she reflected the value of environmental stewardship. She planted somewhere between 20,000 to 30,000 saplings. So, this is about morality. And just like values, morality can also be negative. So, can any one of you think how, or can you give me a certain example of morality which is of negative connotation? Anybody? Right.
Oh,
So, let me, yes,
oh,
please.
sir, patriarchal morality.
Patriarchal morality. Yes, this is also a correct example. Any other example you can think of? Any example from the societal perspective? कोई बात नहीं. अब सोसाइटल मोरालिटी, अगर हम सती की बात करते हैं, ड्यूरिंग द 18th century, the society felt that sati as a practice is the right thing. Similarly, if we talk about North America during the 18th century, those people felt that slavery, racism are the right things. So there were no moral conundrums when it came to practices like sati, like slavery, and like racism. Similarly, in the present context, in Europe, we are seeing a wave of anti immigration. We are seeing a negative sentiment towards the refugees. And the people think that it is morally right to close their border to the refugees. So, this is a part of the societal morality today. Similarly, what you talked about, the value of patriarchy, that is also a correct thing. That some males feel that being patriarchal is the right thing to do. To encroach upon the rights of the females is the right thing to do. This is something which they believe internally. So this example is also correct. There is one thing which, or there is one debate. We'll be doing this in detail, probably in the second or third lecture. But let me throw some light on it. There can be, or let's discuss ethics first, and then I'll come to this debate. Now, what is ethics? Ethics is the reasoned framework of values that guides an individual towards what is right. Now, the difference between ethics and morality is that the source of morality is within a person, it is internal, but the source of ethics is outside. For example, professional ethics. If you people are working in a professional context, you are going to a certain office, a certain professional office, you are supposed to follow the professional values of that office. The source of that values is not inside of you, it is outside of you. You are being told that you should follow these values. Similarly, being a lawyer, it is your duty to defend your client no matter he is right or wrong. It is your legal duty, or it is a part of legal ethics to defend your client. Similarly, for doctors or for medical ethics, we have Hippocratic Oath. So the difference between morality and ethics is that the source of ethics, unlike morality, is not inside a person. It does not stem out from the conscience of a person. So one of the debates that probably we'll be doing tomorrow is the debate between ethics and morality. We have a table ahead, but just a brief introduction towards this debate. Can anybody of you give me an example where a certain act is ethical, but at the same time it is immoral? किसी के दिमाग में कुछ ऐसा आ रहा है which could be ethical, but it is immoral? चलो आपको को एक एग्जांपल देते हैं। राजू रामचंद्रन, ही वॉज द लॉयर ऑफ कसाब, और इन्होंने कसाब का केस लड़ा था। कसाब का केस जो इन्होंने लड़ा, इट वॉज एक्चुअली अ पार्ट ऑफ लीगल एथिक्स। ही हैड टू डिफेंड हिज क्लाइंट, बट सिंस ही वॉज अ पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर, जब गवर्नमेंट ने इनको पे किया फॉर दैट वेरी केस, he refused to take the fees for that case, and he said that either you should donate this for a noble cause or you should give it to the bar association, his legal fraternity. Why? Because defending Kasab was against his morality. So this is how a person can balance both the things. He can listen to his voice of conscience. He listen to his voice of conscience by not taking the fees for that, by not taking a monetary benefit out of it, but at the same time he adhered to his legal ethics by defending his client, no matter he was a terrorist. So now moving forward to the difference between ethics and morality. Now the definition, first point could be the definition which we have done. The source, as I have told you, the source of morality is internal, while the source of ethics is external. What is the sanction, or from where does the value of morality and the values of ethics stem? The source of sanction in case of morality is none. It is completely voluntary. As I told you, that it comes from your conscience. And is there any sanction involved with regard to ethics? Yes. The source of sanction here could be any external agency. In case you are hired by a professional company, the source of sanction would be that company. And if you are not following the voice of morality, or if you are not following ethics, what would be the consequences? In case if you are not listening to your voice of conscience, you will face guilt, you will face moral dissonance, you will be at unease with your own self. But in case you do not follow the ethics, there could be legal or professional repercussions, and there could be societal backlash as well. Some examples of morality we just did, and the example of ethics, as I told you, there could be legal ethics, religious ethics, professional ethics like Hippocratic Oath in case of doctors. So this is all for today. Tomorrow we will be taking up certain other topics. Tomorrow the duration of the session would also be bigger. Today being the first session, I do not want to do a lot of topics or to overload you with a lot of concepts. So now I'm leaving the floor open. Uh, okay, there were a few messages as well. I missed those. I'm actually missing the context in which you wrote these things, but I presume like somebody wrote narcotics, ethical egoism. I'm missing the context. Can you please, or is there any doubt? If you have, you can ask now. I'm leaving the house open. If there is any query with regard to the program or what is taught to you people can please unmute and ask your doubts.
Sir, I have a query because I have posted when you were talking about negative morality.
Mm-hmm.
So then, in the face of injustices, they stirred up emotions of the people, and because of that, they have this feeling of justification towards all sort of encounters, uh, demolitions that we see in the
Mm-hmm.
current times, or violence.
Mm-hmm.
Can that be stated as a case of negative morality?
Not exactly, because the thing which you are mixing morality with is emotion. Morality actually is not an emotion. Morality is a value. So when we
So
talk about
morality
morality,
has to be seen in a long-term sense, like.
The basis of morality is a certain value. If you feel that by doing a certain act, like somebody talked about patriarchy, now if a person feels that by being patriarchal he is not being unjust, that could be a part of morality. But the things that you do out of rage, that is not part of morality, because the thing which is right now guiding you is your emotion, it is not your value system. When you are in rage, you could be doing something which is actually completely contrary to your personality and to your value system. Later you will realize कि यार मैं तो ऐसा हूं ही नहीं जैसा मैंने कर दिया. Right, that is your value system कि मैं तो ऐसा हूं ही नहीं. But in rage, when you do something, that is completely your emotion, that is not your value system that is guiding you.
So, but what if this rage takes up the form of morality in the longer term?
Yes, if it becomes a part of morality, अगर आप गुस्से में आपने decide कर लिया कि अब तो मैं injustice करूंगा ही, and you have thought it through, and it has got ingrained within you, then it becomes part of your morality.
Okay, okay.
Right? Any other doubt? Right. So I presume you people have no doubt with regard to whatever was said today. So we'll be taking up another session today at the same time, 7 p.m. And I hope to see you in that session. Thank you for your time.